Exiting portside airlock.
We need to make our way back to the Astraea, to the auxiliary drive bay.
All right, Apollo, you're on your way. I'm waiting for my explanation.
We all agree simply transmitting Jack's consciousness into the past won't work this time. However, if we were to appropriate one of the Astraea's remaining FTL drives, the Doctor and I believe we may be able to use it to return both you and Jack to the 22nd century.
You're saying we might be able to go home?
I'm reticent to make any assurances, but yes, I believe it is possible. Assuming at least one of the drives is still operational.
I thought you said we couldn't access the drives because of all the biomass.
That was before we had the Counterpulse.
Well, that's great, but do you have some way for Jack to administer it?
Jack, make your way to the nearest Fabricator. I have a new modification for your shell.
Understood.
The Fabricator is just to the left of the bridge entrance.
Integration successful. Your new Counterpulse device is ready to be equipped.
I recommend we run a field test before proceeding further. Those ticks feeding on the substation should make for suitable targets. Field test successful.
It's a weapon?
A focused counterpulse emitter, based on a design from my own timeline and calibrated to the same wavelength as the treatment we administered via the medical pod.
Cure gun? Nice.
Understand, this device will only eliminate the older, more primitive biomass. The more evolved forms from this time period will just be temporarily incapacitated.
Regardless, it should make short work of the biomass surrounding the Astraea's FTL drives. It's possible with more research data we could refine the treatment wavelength even further, making the device that much more efficient.
Which would allow the emitter to discharge more shots before overheating.
Certainly fixed you right up, didn't we?
We're ready to proceed to the drive bay. In the meantime, Captain Rhodes, I will need you to assemble a custom gantry to secure the FTL once it's in our possession. I've already fed the necessary specifications to the fabricators.
Good. I'm in the mood for a bit of work.
Moving out into the debris field now.
Just get that FTL and get back here quick as you can. No sense spending any more time over there than we need to.
Agreed.
Alright, let's assume this works. Let's say you two track down a working FTL. We get it hooked up and Apollo manages to recreate a physical time jump that, by some miracle, sends us back home to our own time. How exactly are we supposed to eliminate all the biomass once we're there? I mean, it's not like we can just set off a bomb and blow it all to smithereens. That's exactly what you're planning to do, isn't it?
Well, not a bomb so much as a device that will unleash a sudden and forcible burst of energy across a widespread area.
So, a bomb.
Yes, a bomb. But one that emits a counterpulse that should only be harmful to the biomass.
Brilliant.
I am a tactical AI. Most of my solutions tend to involve some form of explosion.
Uh-huh.
How will we make this device?
I mean, I could do it, but my hands are a bit tied at the moment.
I can easily repurpose existing equipment to construct a counterpulse dispersion catalyst.
Cure bomb.
Very well. Cure bomb. We will also need a means of transport, ideally one that can regulate the catalyst's energy signature.
The cargo drones should be more than capable of assembling the materials we need.
Excellent. I will transmit the details.
Wait a second. How is Jack's reboot ability supposed to work in the past without the Fabricator network?
My design for our makeshift transport includes a single fabricator to accommodate Jack's reboot for the duration of our mission. Once we've detonated the catalyst and are out of danger, we can address reintegrating Jack's protocols into an Atlas network.
Assuming all this goes to plan.
Well, yes. It would be rather difficult to operate on the opposite assumption.
Shields at 95%.
I've reached the drive bay.
How's it looking there?
More or less how we expected.
That bad, is it?
Jack, the removal process will require access to several mechanisms throughout the drive bay. Any live ticks in the area will undoubtedly make our job that much more difficult.
Understood. I'll clear them out.
Our aim is to locate a viable FTL drive. We need one that is suitably infected with biomass, but not to the extent that it is overrun.
The Goldilocks FTL.
An accurate, if somewhat antiquated metaphor. Once we find a suitable drive, we'll need to remove it from its housing and extract it via the corresponding service port. The removal process is no easy task, but I can walk you through the procedure.
All clear, Apollo.
Acknowledged. Now then, we should start by identifying any FTLs that are still extractable. Look for drives whose locking pins are largely clear of biomass at the upper and lower extremities.
Understood. I'll see if there's a drive that's clear enough to move.
Anyone able to cross their fingers, do it now.
Some biomass is present, but not enough to impede the locking pins. Now to inspect the opposite end. Excessive biomass infestation. These locking pins won't be able to move. Moving on to the next drive.
We'll need to inspect the drive's locking pins to determine if one is suitable for extraction.
The locking pins on this end also appear to be free of any obstruction.
Confirmed. Cursory inspection verified. Internal biomass growth is also suitable for our needs.
Is that our winner?
It certainly appears so.
So we're good to go.
Nearly. The FTL will first need to be primed, which requires filling the drive with an ionized fluid and stimulating a hybrid voltaic reaction.
Is that as dodgy as it sounds?
Priming the drive is a fairly standard procedure. Moving a drive after it's been primed is most certainly not.
How do we start the procedure?
The drive controls are offline. You'll need to initiate the process manually. Look for an access panel on the side of the FTL drive.
Access panel located.
You'll have to cut your way in. Pull the lever inside and the drive will begin priming. Once the injection process is complete, I will funnel all remaining power in the drive bay to the FTL.
Drive priming initiated.
Injection complete. I will now attempt to create a sustained reaction by applying any remaining power. Stand by. Sustained reaction achieved. We're ready to remove the drive.
Outstanding.
What's next, Apollo?
The FTL drive is held in place by locking mechanisms at its upper and lower extremities. They must be manually released before the drive can be removed.
Got it. I'll release the locks.
The release mechanisms are housed within the drive moorings at both the top and bottom of the chamber. You'll need to cut your way in.
Understood. I've gained access to the drive locking mechanisms.
The release control is located on the drive itself, between the locking pins.
Bottom locking mechanism released.
Good. Once you release the upper lock, the drive should come free.
Drive unlocked.
Excellent. I've repowered a nearby control panel so you can complete the removal procedure. The controls will allow you to position the drive so it can be easily removed via cargo drone.
Moving FTL into position.
Steady on there, Jack. That's our ride home.
Once the drive reaches the outer wall, you can open the... Jack, be advised. Ticks inbound.
Stand by. I'll deal with them.
They must have been drawn out by the drive's substantial energy signature.
Tick threat neutralized. Resuming removal process at the control terminal.
Once the drive reaches the outer wall, you can open the service port to make the drive available for retrieval.
The drive is in position. How do I open the service port?
Multi-operator release controls on either side of the hatch.
Removal process complete. The FTL drive is ready to be extracted.
Good work, Jack. Drones are on their way.
Copy that.
Ready to depart with the cargo in T-10 seconds. If you plan to accompany the drive, I suggest you take hold now. Departing in 3, 2, 1. Thrusters engaged.
I'm exiting the drive bay.
Give the Astraea a wave as you go. Suppose this is the last we'll be seeing of her.
I'm afraid that's not entirely accurate. To ensure we eliminate all the biomass in the past, we will need to generate a counterpulse substantial enough to blanket the entire Kronos 2 orbital sector. To do so, we will have to venture into the remains of the Astraea that were left behind in 2126 and use the ship's primary drive exchange conduit to amplify the output of the cure bomb.
Kinda grows on you, doesn't it?
Not unlike a biomass infestation.
So, where am I in all this?
I will need you to accompany us into the wreckage. As acting captain of the Astraea, your authorization is required to access the primary drive bay.
Right. Well, I've nearly finished rigging up the gantry. Should be good to go by the time the drones turn up with the FTL. I'll see you back here shortly.
Acknowledged.
Jack, I should tell you, if our plan succeeds, it is unlikely you will be able to return to this timeline. If there are any outstanding tasks you'd like to finish, now might be the opportune time.
Understood.